Hello everybody, my name is Gary Gregg of Golden Gate Palms Nursery in Point Richmond, California. It's a bit of a misnomer because we actually sell more than palms at our nursery, succulents, all kinds of subtropicals, and we're especially known for avocados. We might have as many as 30 varieties at any given time over there, and I'm propagating all kinds of new ones and having a lot of fun doing it. We're actually sourcing a lot of avocados that are unique to the Bay Area and trying to eventually develop those to use here, since those trees know nothing other than growing here as seedlings. They don't know anything about Guatemala. They don't know anything about Mexico. That's where the avocados are generally native to. And the ones that we have up here are usually a mixture, like a Haas is a mixture between a Guatemalan type and a Mexican type. Again, this is the Sustainapalooza webinar that I was asked to speak in. Unfortunately, I'll be up on top of El Cap or falling off a half dome to my untimely death at the time I'm supposed to do it live, so I can't do it live. Sorry for that, no questions. But I'm here now. It's a video, it's recorded ahead of time, so that's the deal. All my viewers, go check out Sustainapalooza. Now, I don't know too much about it, but it sounds really cool and sustainable. So I'm sure it's online, check it out, and you can watch all the other presenters. Okay, back to the topic. So there's a lot to cover here. I've got 25 minutes and the clock is ticking. So as soon as the duck quacks, we're done with the video. Okay, so avocados that we can grow in the Bay Area, there's basically three types. There's the Mexicans. They're kind of a higher altitude, higher latitude avocado from the Mexican highlands of the middle highlands. They generally grow on the sides of volcanoes where it's a bit of a cloud forest habitat. So it's not too hot, not too cool. That's why they do so well in the Bay Area here. Now the Mexican avocados are hardier than the Guatemalan is the other type. The Mexican types will have a thinner skin. They're generally smaller. What else can I say about them? And they're more cold hardy. They also typically have a leaf that has a nice flavor to it when it's dried and you can crush it. There's a lot of dishes some Mexican, Latin American dishes you can put together using those dried leaves. And I've actually been asked for those leaves before for certain Latin American events. Now, the Guatemalan types are usually bigger, they're rounder, they have a thicker skin. The Guatemalan types, the skin usually will break off and not peel so much. The Mexican types, the skin peels more, if it's thick enough to peel. Oftentimes it isn't. Mexican types are, Fuerte is a hybrid. Guatemalan or Mexican types are bacon, Mexicola Grande, Stewart. Those are all thinner skinned Mexican types. Guatemalan types are Nabal, Reed, what else? The bigger ones, the bigger softball sized round ones. Daily 11 is one. There's a whole bunch of others. And then we have a whole bunch that are hybrids. Like here we have, this is called Little Cado. It's also known as Wirtz with a Z on the end. And this is a hybrid between Guatemalan types and Mexican types. And it basically makes for a really nice fruit. Now what we'll do is, now we talked about the different types of fruit from the different types of trees. Let's talk now about fruiting. That's the most important part, right? Well, these avocados will typically flower in our area between March, April, May. That's when they're gonna set their fruit. They'll set thousands of flowers. They'll fruit hundreds and hundreds of avocados. But as you see, they can only hold so many because, as we know, avocados have a lot of energy in them and the tree can only produce so much energy. So you have to drop a lot of fruit, thin themselves out. You end up with a whole bunch. I mean, here, look, we have a really good fruit set right here. Now, here's a really good demonstration of why an avocado is called an avocado. Does anybody know why an avocado is called an avocado? Let me tell you why. All right, so the ancient Aztec word for avocado was aguacatl, which means testicle in Aztec language. And so you can kind of understand why and how they came up with that language for this tree. Now when the Spanish came to the New World and they encountered the Aztecs and the avocados, they thought these avocados were so salacious because they thought it would incite mischievous thoughts among the natives. So they banned them, which was really unfortunate. And then they sort of changed the name eventually to avocado, it's kind of close, alligator pear. Eventually, avocado, the word avocado was used here. They didn't like alligator pears, the California Avocado Commission 110 years ago, so they changed it to avocado officially. So anyway, that's kind of where the name comes from. Now the fruiting, they're gonna fruit May, or April through May. They're gonna flower. If you wanna heighten your bloom or your fruit set, you wanna get the bees out any way you can. One great way to do that is to mix some hot water with honey and spray it all over the tree at time of flowering. You get the bees out that way. The best way to do it is have a beehive right next to the tree. Also, any kind of like plants like rosemary that really attract bees. And then you gotta pray for warm weather during bloom time. Now, ironically, cooler weather later during fruit set is a good thing, because if you get a big heat wave in June, when these little babies are on the tree, they'll just bust off and drop all over the ground. So you wanna pray for a warm spring, cool summer, cool early summer. That's what you want. Now, what else can I say about the bloom? Now, what's interesting is all these avocados have a different hang period on the tree before they're ready to eat. The quickest one is Mexicola. It'll go from fruiting on the tree February, March or so, kind of early, and then by September you can eat those things. Now, conversely, avocados like Nabal, the Guatemalan more tropical avocados, those we're gonna have to hang on that tree for at least a year to 14, 15 months before they're gonna be ready to eat. However, those will actually hang on the tree much longer than that. Now, the Mexican types seem to fall off the tree after about 3 or 4 months, which is a pretty good hang period or pick period, but the Guatemalan types will hang on for much longer. In fact, this one here with Guatemalan blood in it, the little avocado, I've done some experimentation. We have a really heavy fruit set this year. We had none last year, but the year before that, it was absolutely loaded. Avocados will do that. They'll have off years, and they will, basically just kind of cycle their energy. They want to take a rest a little bit. But check this out. I'm going to climb up into this tree. I'm going to take that phone with me. I'm going to show you avocados that have been hanging on this tree for exactly 2 years and 2 months. Hopefully they're still here. It's been kind of an ongoing experiment to see how long this fruit will hang on this tree. And if they're not here right now, I'm gonna be really embarrassed. But now you're on the inside of an avocado tree, and they were right here like a week ago. And now they're nowhere to be seen. That's highly unfortunate. So I guess I figured out the extent of the experiment. There were a couple on this side too. But usually I eat them all. Wait, there's one. Look, there's one right there. So look, that fruit right there was born on this tree 2 years and 2 months ago. Look at that. If that was an infant, it would be talking by now and walking around. But it's an avocado. Let's pick that thing and bring it down. See if I can get it. Oh. You should watch my YouTube channel. If you like to watch people that look like they're gonna fall out of a tree and die, you'll love my channel. The name of my channel is called, usually I don't have a professional camera person, usually just have my hand. But name of the channel is called True Plant Stories. Right, so here's the little avocado. It's a nice little fruit. It's really delicious. The other thing to know about avocados is the longer the fruit hangs on the tree, the more oil builds up and the richer the fruit gets. When people have taste tests against different trees, it's really hard to judge, because one tree might be peaking at the end of its pick period with the maximum amount of oil. The other tree might just be starting. Like a reed, you can't taste test a reed, a Guatemalan reed that doesn't really get good until September, with something like a bacon that's good in February. You just can't do it. In fact, at that time, the reed probably won't even be edible. Picking your avocados, knowing when to eat them. Okay, so they usually get a really sort of a dull green on them. The shiny, you compare it to the brand new avocados. Right here. See this just lustrous dark green? Totally different color. See here, this is more indicative. This coloration, I'll get it in the sun. See the difference? Right there. The one on the left is dulled out. That one's ripe to eat. One on the right is absolutely not. Okay, so we talked about the fruiting, how to maximize the fruit set. We talked about the origins. We talked about the name. We talked about when it's right. Oh, when you pick it. If right when you think your avocado is ripe, don't pick them all, just pick one. Put it on your counter. When you pick it from your own tree, it's gonna take at least a week, if not 14 days, to soften up. Now, if that avocado doesn't soften up and it just starts to shrink and look shriveled up with a bunch of wrinkles all over it, like these ones right here, if it starts to look like that, then you know it was too early to pick it. And so they'll get a little bit darker as they ripen on the counter. So if it was too unripe to pick it, it'll taste like rubber. It'll be horrible. And then you have to wait another couple of weeks, pick another fruit, and try the experiment again, and keep doing that until you realize at what point your fruit is ripe on your tree in your particular spot. Now, I have a ranch only 45 miles away from here as the crow flies, but it's infinitely hotter. We are a mid-inland section here. We're a lot warmer than San Francisco, but we're not nearly as warm as my ranch in winters. At winters, these avocados are ripe a good 4 months earlier. Now, in San Francisco, they're probably take like maybe 2 years to fully ripen up. It's all about heat, and how much heat you have ripens these avocados. So even in the Bay Area, depending upon your climate, you're gonna have different pick periods depending upon where you are. So keep that in mind. Now you know how to test your avocado. The other fun thing to do is to figure out what your hang time is, your pick period. So once these avocados become good and soft, well, you know the date. If it's February 1st for a bacon, great. Well, I figured out with my bacons, they're good to eat on February 1st, and the last one falls off the tree on July 1st. That gives me about a 5-month pick period, okay? So every one of these is different. Now, this one here, being like a typical Guatemalan, it hangs on the tree for an awful long time, and these things were ready to eat last May, and they've been on the tree for 14 months. 14 months. So that means you could have one tree and have avocados all the time, assuming that tree sets fruit that year, which last year this one didn't set at all. This year it did, so it alternated years. Now, the other thing is, the best thing to do is to get, this is an A flowering avocado. Now there's A flowers and B flowers. They bloom at different times. The male flowers come out at a different time than the female. The best thing to do is get an A type and B type so they overlap, okay? What else to know about these things? So the closer the trees are to each other, the more likely you're gonna get a more heavy fruit set because of that overlapping pollen availability. In avocado groves, they typically plant one bee plant, usually a Zutano, because it's a highly prolific bloomer. It blooms at the same time as Haas. And it, amongst 100 different Haas trees, you have 100 Haas trees, one Zutano. Gives you an idea of how much area they're willing to give up to maximize production of fruit. Now, there's no reason to, the best thing to do is get a whole bunch of different avocados. And the reason being is if you have an off year on one tree, maybe you'll have a heavy year on the other tree. Every year you're gonna bloom, you're gonna get the pollen to help each other pollinate. And also you'll have you get different types, you'll have different seasonality of fruit. So you can have fruit all year long. And you'll have all kinds of different shapes and colors to give to your friends to blow them away because all they know is Haas. So let's just walk around a little bit here. I'll show you a couple other trees. This hillside here I planted about 15, 20 years ago, and the deer messed up all of the drip lines, so these trees have gotten no water during a pretty bad drought after they were relatively established for like 4 years. And I'm finally starting to water them again because I feel so guilty. I keep saying I'm going to fix the irrigation system. As far as irrigation goes, these trees are light-rooted trees. They love really good drainage, so they like to be on a slope. You have natural drainage on a slope. If you have clay soil, no problem. If you're on a slope, you're gonna get good drainage. Now, if you're growing them on a slope like I am, you're not gonna wanna throw away your baseball cleats, your football cleats, or your soccer boots. And soccer shoes are not cleats, they're boots. And that's what these are. These are soccer boots. So this is gonna be the best way to get around the hillside. Otherwise, you're gonna be slipping all over the place. That's another little tip. And I got 10 minutes left. So, the watering for these trees, the best way to get the water out there, little micro sprinklers. When they're young, they just need a couple drip emitters. As they get bigger, you're gonna wanna water all underneath the canopy of the tree, ideally. Or you could just dry farm them like me and get shrunken little avocados and not spend any water. which is pretty remarkable if you think about it. We still get fruit set. The trees don't look as pretty. They're not as dark green. They still make fruit. The fruit's not as big. It's just as good though. So in a way, it's kind of cool. You can dry farm your avocados in Northern California. It's not something you could really do in Southern California because the evapotranspiration rates are so high. The best thing to do though is do as I say and not as I do, and water your trees. If you water these trees like once a week, really good, all around the trees, big established trees, they're gonna do really well. Put about 20 gallons all around the tree. Any way you can. Little micro sprinklers are good off your drip. Like I said, when they're little, they just need a little drip where the tree is, but you gotta expand those out in time. The other thing that these trees absolutely love is feeling like they're in the middle of a forest. What happens in a forest, people? You know what happens in a forest, people? All kinds of stuff drops out of the tree and it just rots on the ground. No one cleans it up. No one's there with a leaf blower. Don't blow your stuff away in the trees. Don't make it look neat and pretty. Just get all your junk, all your eggshells, anything. Look, bark from trees. This is all stuff that would occur in a forest. Every single leaf that falls off this tree, you're gonna wanna let it fall and sit under the forest. It's gonna molt it so thick that all the weeds won't have a chance. Therefore, it won't compete with the avocado tree, and it's gonna keep the moisture in. All this stuff is slowly decomposing, making nutrients for the tree, and it's got all the bugs are gonna love it. So it's gonna make everybody happy to basically just make it do what it wants to do, just like it would be in the forest. So don't be afraid to just let it look ugly, and just look how ugly that is. That's a happy tree. Yeah, ugly bottom creates happy tree. Another thing, there's a lot of things. This is another thing. The leaves, come on down here. I got 9 minutes left. I don't know if this one really smells. No, not really. But look, the leaves are actually a beautiful mulch. They're a beautiful color. And these leaves have a compound in them that when they decompose, it protects the root system from root rot, which is a problem with avocado trees, especially in clay soils that don't drain so well. So the best thing you can do for your avocados is leave the leaves out. See? Leave the leaves. Right? Think about that. Think about the origin of words, people. I mean, they're telling you what to do. Leave them just where they are. That's what you want. All right. So what else should we talk about? That's a fuerte tree right there. That's a really cool tree. That tree was growing in someone's yard in Mexico, and I believe a person by the name of Wilson Popenoe discovered that tree, brought it up. That was the chief commercial producer in California from about 1915, I think, to about 1976. Now, it has a thin skin. It's a really rich fruit. However, the Haas tree came along in 1926. That's a really good story. It's probably too long for here. Postman found it in his backyard. He was trying to sprout a bunch of avocados to graft. A bunch of them failed. This tree kept failing in the graft. So he basically said, oh, whatever. And then his kids started playing in it and climbing it and eating the fruit. Then he went to cut it down, and his kids were like, no, don't cut the tree down, Daddy. We love that fruit. And he's like, huh. And he looked at it, and he started telling his friends. At that time, a bright green, smooth skin, thin skin was what you could sell, fuerte. Well, nobody had ever seen a dark, pebbly one like Haas. It's actually Haas. It's like with an H, all right? I always get it wrong. People hassle me so, they hassle me for calling it Haas. You gotta call it Haas so they don't hassle you. That's how you remember it. You don't want to get hassled, call it Haas. All right, so yeah, back to fuerte. So fuerte was a chief commercial crop. Haas came along, and he's like, oh, this is interesting. Showed it to some people, like, yeah, that's interesting. The Haas variety has that thick skin. You can ship that fruit, and there'll be all kinds of blemishes inside. Nobody will know. You can still sell it. Commercial growers love it. Ha! Right? They're getting one down on the consumer. That's no good. But it also protects it a little bit during shipping. Whereas if you get a bruise on a fuerte, you know right away, and they bruise more in shipping than a don't hassle me, Haas would. So, all right, so that's the story on fuerte. Now it took that long. One of the very first patents ever, might have been the first, was the Haas tree in 1926, and it took until 1976 50 years later before it overtook commercial production, but now it dominates all over the world. It constitutes 99% of commercial production, but I think it's kind of a boring fruit. I love all these other ones, so I'm trying to like grow all this other cool stuff. So let's see, this tree over here, that's Mexico Grande. It decided to take the year off, who knows why, but that's a really beautiful tree, has a really big, beautiful leaf. Over here, let's show you a tree. Let me show you the chief tree that is the pollinator commercially, typically. You see, look, I bet my camera person's gonna. That's the aftermath of my camera person, because she didn't take my advice and wear her soccer boots. Get up, Stella. We're not done yet. We got 4 minutes left. 4 minutes left. Here, come on, hurry. Gotta show them Zutano. There's so much more to see here. This is why you need to wear your soccer boots, people. You won't have to have a cut point when you're doing a video for Sustainapalooza. Look, that tree right there is a daily 11. It's a huge fruit. It's unbelievable. And it's a little baby. We got a good fruit set this year, so that's gonna be a good tree to watch this summer. And then right here, this is the Zutana. This is the chief tree they use to pollinate the the Hass crop with. And anyway, you can see these are bigger than the other one because it's not as tropical of a tree. They actually will set fruit sooner than the one we showed you up there, the little Avocado. And there's also fruit on this tree ready to go, ready to eat right now. It's the last of the crop. Right now it's June 16th. How do I know that? It's because it's my wife's birthday. Happy birthday, honey bunny. All right, here we go. I know I saw some fruit in this tree. Where did it go? It's in here somewhere. It's also really hard to see the fruit in the tree sometimes because the fruit looks exactly like the leaves of the tree. And if I can't find fruit, I'm gonna look really, oh look, I'm not gonna look down, come over here. Come over here, people. Look, here they are, look. Okay, I'm gonna pick that right now. You see the birds like it, they come and peck it, but I just cut that off and eat it anyway, no problem. And you actually can, eventually we're gonna basically be having a cooperative where when everybody has too many avocados from all the trees I sell them, they're gonna bring them to me, and then I'm gonna sell them to all kinds of restaurants and stuff in the Bay Area. So watch out for that in a few years. But this is kind of a fun little thing here. At the same time, you could have the new crop and the old crop. So next year at this time, the little baby will be as big as the big guy here. Now people say that this avocado is like, oh, it's kind of watery. No, this is the low calorie avocado. It's totally delicious. It just has a lighter, smoother flavor to it. So people are like, oh, I read this and I read that. Don't read anything. Try them. You gotta try them. Especially the ones that are grown here. The commercial ones always are pumped with water, so they're kind of thin. But even this is like considered maybe like the worst avocado you can grow here. It's also the most beautiful leaf. The leaf on this tree is incredibly beautiful, more so than the other trees. And it's super hardy, and I love this thing, and I eat them all the time. And so yeah, if you want to keep your cute little figure, you want your avocados, eat a whole bunch of quantity, go with Zutano. If you want to just eat a few and have to sit like run on the treadmill constantly, eat the other ones that have more oil content. So my camera person keeps laughing and shaking the camera. What's wrong? Oh, all right, that's about it, people. I want to thank Stella for being such a good sport and coming out here and filming me. And come on down to Golden Gate Palms, goldengatepalms.com. We got a great website on avocados and all kinds of other good stuff. Thanks a lot and have a great day. Whoa! I know. Oh! It's like when the white ball goes in the corner pocket. That's not what you intended. Right, same thing. So why did I do that? Turns out I have 3 more minutes after I was about to edit the video. So I'm going to use every minute that I have. Okay, it's supposed to be a half hour long. A little bit shy of a half hour for commercial breaks, maybe. Anyway, so what do we do here? We had a little demonstration. These are white sapotas. We also grow these. White sapote is a lot like an avocado in a lot of respects. One of the respects is it comes off the tree hard, usually. This can actually ripen on the tree, whereas an avocado cannot. Ripen means, or soften, so it's edible. These are rock hard right now, but they will soften up on the counter a lot like an avocado does. Now, an avocado, as I mentioned, will not soften on the tree. 2 different things. Ripen and soften are 2 different things. Ripe is when this thing is ready to eat. You can cut into it. It turns into butter. Unripe is when it turns to rubber. So we talked about that earlier. You get the idea. This is the little Wirtz Avocado. This is for the Zutano that I picked. This one is a year old. This one's 2 years old on the tree. Okay, but the thing that I wanted to tell you about is that when these things are rock hard, you can just drop them all over, no problem. You can bounce, play baseball with them, play football. Some of them are shaped like this one here is shaped like a football. I actually have Steve Young who signed one of these for me because he's a friend of mine. I got a picture of it, of him. I'll put the picture in the video. Anyway, it looks like a football. But yeah, usually you don't want to play football with them, but you can when they're hard, but not when they're soft. They're going to take 7 to 14 days to soften up. But check this out. You can actually, so you got to pick your avocados over time. You can't just pick them all and then let them sit on the counter forever then not pick more because they'll all ripen at once and then you'll have nothing to eat. You'll have to wait 14 days. You'll have millions of avocados all around you, yet not a single one to eat. So now once they start to soften up, you want to extend their shelf life. You can put them in the fridge. They will last in the fridge ripe. Like this one's been in the fridge for like 2 or 3 weeks. So once they're ripe, you can just, look at this. And this is what you want. You want to be able to just stick something in it like that, no problem. Then it's going to be ripe. And we'll open this one up and show you. But this has been in my fridge for probably 3 weeks since it's softened up. If it was not in my fridge, it would have already been bad. And you can see if you grow your own avocados at home, they don't get gassed with ethylene or anything like that. They don't get cold stored. And they'll actually germinate. This is a germinating seed. I'll probably pop this up. Maybe I want to graft something. But anyway, I wanted to show you the whole deal with these things being hard, being soft, being able to extend the shelf life on them, and knowing when you can be rough with them and when you can't. And now she's going to take a close-up of all this wonderful fruit, and that's going to be the end of the video. Come on down to Golden Gate Palms and buy some.